I wanted to do something that I don't think anyone else has done, and that's ranking my top 10 favorite Spren in the Stormlight archive. Remember, this is a personal list, so this is completely biased. For number 10, I'm going to go something out of left field here, and I'm going to choose the Nightwatcher. So the Nightwatcher is part of the old magic, and she's one of the three big Sprens, along with the Stormfather and the sibling. Whereas the Stormfather is basically the child of honor, and the sibling is kind of a combination of honor and cultivation. The Nightwatcher is just the child of cultivation, and she is the Spren who grants people spoons. And I think the Nightwatcher fits in quite well with in number 10. For number 9, I'm gonna go with Shiah. So Shiah is a Spren of Odium, one of the 9 unmade. So this is an interesting character because unlike the other unmade, this one, Shiah is kind of a morally complex character. So what her gist is that she touches other Spren. It can be normal types of Spren, like an honor Spren or something, and that Spren begins to act strangely and doesn't act like it normally should. She's so mysterious, she's like a spy, but then you don't know where her allegiance is, and I think like this is a character we'll learn more in the next book. So for my number 8 spot, I'm going to go with Timber. If you don't know, Timber is the light Spren that Venli is bonded to. This is one of the Spren we know the least about, simply because Timber doesn't actually speak like the other Spren do. But what I like about this Spren and what makes Timber stand out is the way she communicates to Venli. Obviously, Venli is a Parshendi and they can hear the rhythms of Rosha. Timber communicates to Venli by pulsing in a sort of rhythmic way that the Parshendi can communicate with. Venli is a character that I'm not too invested in, but I do like her relationship. Alright, number 7. This is one that I know people probably wouldn't count, and there'll be arguments for why this isn't classified technically a Spren, but I'm just going to include it in my list because I think it still counts as a Spren, and that's Ash. If you don't know, this is from Elantris, so if you have not read Elantris, skip to this place. Anyway, if you don't know, Ash is the Seon that Serene has, and he's kind of almost like her guardian while she is in the city. I forgot its name. But yeah, what can I say? I don't have much to say on Elantris. It's not a particular favorite of mine, but I did like Ash. Ash is technically one of the first and earliest Spren that we're ever introduced to in the cosmere, if you think about it. For number 6, I'm gonna go with Ivory. Now, Ivory is the ink Spren that Yasna is bonded to. Ivory is like one of the few people who can like give sass to Yasna, and Yasna has to take it because it's a Spren and she can't do anything else. And it's so funny to see Yasna in a relationship like this because she's normally the person who's so in control of the room, and to see someone like Ivory who's almost like a parallel of her in some kind of way, I think it's a really neat idea. I don't have much to talk about simply because we haven't seen much of their relationship yet. Next, number 5 is a personal favorite of mine, and that's Design. Now, I think we were recently introduced to this Spren in book 4, and we got a glimpse of this Spren in Oathbringer. And if you don't know, Design is the cryptic that Hoid is bonded to, and she is hilarious. I just love how sassy and quirky she is to Hoid, and she's always giving him lip. And I love the fact that Hoid kinda is annoyed that he ended up with a really annoying Spren. I just think it's just such a fascinating and hilarious dynamic they got going there. Hoid / Wit is just one of my favorite characters, and Design is just the perfect Spren. Next, number 4 is one that I wasn't actually a particular fan of until I'd say Rhythm of War really changed my opinion on him. That's the Stormfather. Like I said, he's one of the big 3 Spren. The Stormfather is bonded to Dalna Colan, and their bond is really interesting, seeing how Dalna is the Black Thorn, and he used to be this force of destruction, and the Stormfather is the literal storm of Rosha, and he just destroys everything as well. And seeing these two kind of help each other grow, and how Dalna begins to understand the Stormfather on a deeper level, because in some ways he used to be like him. But what made me kind of a bit detached from the Stormfather was that for the most part he was kind of an asshole and he kind of refused to grow. However, the ending of Rhythm of War really changed my opinion, and that's when he made Eshonai, in her final moments, explore the world. He made Eshonai fulfill her lifelong dream of seeing the world and gave her the visions of the wider world of Rosha. And that was a really touching and beautiful moment from the Stormfather that I didn't expect, and it really did change my opinion on him. Okay, number 3 is complete bias because I just love this Spren so much, and that's a Windle, which is this cultivation Spren that Lift is wanted to. I just love how Windle is just a complete coward. He's just so scared of everything Lift does, and he's the complete antithesis to Lift, where Lift is quirky, rambunctious, and she's just has no care of safety. She just breaks the rules. She's constantly getting into trouble and putting herself in danger. And Windle is just this timid, frail Spren who just wants her to be safe and just a normal girl, right? So I love how every time Lift just gets into one of her antics, he just loses his brain and he's just always complaining. He's like, oh man, kind of like the way that Hoyd is so annoyed about being bonded to Design. Windle is just kind of really annoyed about being bonded to Lift, but he has no other choice. And I just find that so fascinating. And beyond just the humor of Windle, there's also some really touching moments, like in Rhythm of War, where Lift was getting emotional about reminiscing about her mother. And then there's this really tender and beautiful moment where Windle kind of wraps himself around Lift to comfort her without even saying anything. It's a really small and really subtle and beautiful moment. Next, number 2 is our favorite boy, Patton. What can I say? No mating, right? Patton has the most iconic lines out of all the Spren. What I love about the cryptics is that in the Way of Kings, they're supposed to be these really strange looking people. It's almost like they're like demons from another world. When Shallan first sees a cryptic, it's almost written like a horror book. And I also love how all the other Spren are also quite wary of the cryptics. Everyone was like, all the other honest Spren kind of stay away and keep a distance from the cryptics because they don't really understand them. And then obviously, Brandon Sanderson just pulls the switch on us, and it just turns out the cryptics are just kind of adorable. They're just these really goofy and quirky people who are really strange. They don't understand social norms and customs like other Spren would, and that's what makes them so like foreign and alien. But they look so scary and strange, but in reality they're just kind of sweet inside. And I just really love that twist that Sanderson pulled. And for number 1, it's really obvious. My favorite Spren is Susisesh, the Protector. You know, that really large Spren that's at the bay in the city of Kastor. So what interests me about this Spren especially is how she only ever comes out at 7:46 in the morning every day. I mean, that is just so fascinating. Alright. I'm just kidding around here. Obviously, number 1 is Sulfrena, the ancient daughter. She's Kaladin's Spren, and what can I say? I'm not going to talk much on Sulfrena because everybody loves Sulfrena. She's the obvious number 1. Who else was it going to be? Anyway, tell me guys in the comment section below. Who are your top 10 favorite Spren? Is there any do you disagree with on my list? Feel free to disagree. And yeah, thank you for watching.